Hello everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. Today's video is going to be a very quick update here on the massive news here in the United Kingdom about the regulating law and bill that has just gone through with the approval of King Charles to basically affirm the usage of digital currency, cryptocurrency, stable coins, etc. as regulated, law-abiding operations of finance here in the UK. So I just wanted to divert some attention quickly before I go into a bit more detail about that. We did some videos probably nearly up to 3 years ago now, particularly around the cashless society, CBDCs, very much talking about digital and currency or digital currency infrastructure here in the United Kingdom. And that very much came about when Sunak was Chancellor here in the UK under Boris Johnson's leadership, very much operating the financial world of the United Kingdom. And then that moved into things like the World Economic Forum's integration and pretty much their regime, if you like, of this whole sustainability diversification program that they've got leading up to 2030, hence the UN documentation around Agenda 30, which you can download off their website. And I started dot connecting here because we had the World Economic Forum feeling here. We had Sunak in place. I said in these videos as well that I believe Sunak will be the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, albeit that Liz Truss came in briefly. I always knew that Sunak would be the ultimate one. Why? Because at that same time back then, we were building the innovation hub here in England, in London, to very much enhance blockchain technology and technology in general, to be honest. But a big part of that was to try and make the UK the world's #1 hub of finance, and particularly in digital cryptocurrency. Whether that actually prevails or not remains to be seen. But as we look down that planogram now, November 2025, when we said the new RTGS system will be switched on, we've already got ISO 20022 compliance and standardizations going across the board as well. You can go on pretty much any of your banks and type this in as a search term, and you will find all the information you need on their programmability and messaging services being around that standardization. And this leads heavily into arguably the replacement of Swift and Chaps with the RTGS switchover. That's when I believe the CBDCs will be fully, or if not, certainly starting to very much integrate in the public domain as well as wholesale and institution level. But that point was that in the World Economic Forum's perspective, I knew that Sunak was one of the leading members of that program, as was back then Prince Charles, now King Charles, was on that as well. And you only have to go slightly further into the World Economic Forum's websites, where you obviously see the big conversations around the Great Reset, the build after the pandemic, the financial change that we need because inflation is high, interest rates are high, housing market's a mess, stock markets are a mess. And that was my message really over the last 2-3 years, that there will be coordinated theatrical things going on around the world, whatever they want to portray in the news, saying that so-and-so's battling this and that and whoever, it's all a farce. Like, they're all part of the same regime, guys. Let's look at this, for example, literally in the last couple of days, the opening conversation here from Li Qiang, the Chinese Republic's, of course, premier, if you like, the equivalent of a president or a prime minister over in China, opening up one of the ceremonies relating here to the World Economic Forum. You've then got people, as I mentioned before, these big conversations going back a few years now. Look at the colours. These are the colours of the Agenda 30 program. You'll see most of them wearing their badges at various different events around the world, including the WEF ones at Davos. It's all part of the plan, guys. And as soon as I started dot connecting and thinking about these things rationally, it suddenly became conclusive in my head that this is what was going to happen. There is no way that Sunak would not be the Prime Minister, because there is now across the world, including Biden and all the others, infrastructure in place. The people are in the top level positions to bring in this new financial order, this new financial system. That's how it works, guys. That's how governments, parliaments, the world's devices around the world of the last 50, 100 years have been devised on what's the next agenda, who goes in to lead this particular initiative or change in that world's capacity. This is how they do it. So we're now in this situation, guys, where we've got everyone in place. We've got everyone in place around the world to bring in digital regulation as law in every country possible. making everyone that was unbankable bankable, so then everything is traceable, verified, processed using blockchain, AI, algorithms, you name it, it's in there, and you can start to see where we are going with this. The patterns are there. Now we have the confirmations. Financial Services Markets Act granted royal assent by King Charles, making crypto trading and regulated financial activity in the UK. Out of all this nonsense that we've seen over the years about FUD, that regulation is going to happen, crypto's a FUD, it's going to be a mess, blah blah blah. CBDCs are coming, guys. Crypto is here to stay. The projects that we invest in, yes, of course, there are some terrible ones, some meme ones. I'm not interested in them. I'm interested, certainly specifically, the ones that have a giant utility and certainly aspirations to either be regulated or within the system, or at least having some form of real world use case. And I think we cover most of them on the channel. And I think you as an audience definitely give us some great opportunities to learn some of the new ones, but also start conducting more and more research ourselves for yourselves to actually plan ahead and see what's coming. Now, they always have, and I've said this in the last video, one of my personal favorites is David Icke, only because of some of the things that he comes out with, and they always tend to come very much into fruition over the years to come. But one of the things always stuck in my head was they have a solution, they then create a problem for that solution, then bring the solution, and then they have basically appraisal from everyone, because everyone's like, oh, the government saved us, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. And then it's all normal. Now, if you rewind, and this, I've got the papers in front of me, and I will do a proper video of this over the weekend, a final actual review of the Digital Pound Foundation event I went to. Cashless society was one of those big conversations at this event, and it was actually to the point of tap and go that came around a long time ago now, maybe even nearly 10 years ago if I remember, when cards became contactless. It's all a psychological impact to enforce that or start encouraging. And so many people, especially senior citizens, were saying that I will never have a debit card, I will use my bank, I will never go cashless, I will always have my bank card. But now they're all using the apps. Now they see the convenience of it, but then all of a sudden all the banks are closing because then you're forced to do this, otherwise you can't spend or use your money. And cash, I'm telling you now, majority of places don't even take cash anymore. They refuse to. They refuse to because of things like, cashing it out, doing all the banking, doing all the numbers, the calculations, everything. And the companies now realizing that takes up too much time. Let's just do everything wirelessly, contactlessly, something that's automated into our bank account straight away. And we've now got APIs and tax systems that can just do everything for us. This is where it wanted to go, because the CBDCs and everything will be coming in. They'll initially say, oh, it will work alongside this physical money that we've got currently, and it will still exist. There will come a point, 5, 10, 15 years time, psychologically, and when a generation has passed again, it will just become the full programmable money, guys. And you only have to look at all the other initiatives about the Great Reset, about the Agenda Programme, about the World Economic Forum. This is all interlaced with climate, environment, AI, algorithms, supply chain, logistics, the way we buy things, the way we sell things, the way we do things, transportation. It will all be using blockchain and AI. Without a doubt. It's already here. We're already probably using it, we just don't know. And there's opportunity. Of course there's opportunity. And certainly from the investment perspective, and especially as it's becoming regulated, it kind of almost diminishes one of the thoughts I had in my head that, oh, what if they turn around one day and go, actually, crypto, you can't use it anymore. And it's your own fault because it's not regulated. We didn't approve of it. But now it is. And certainly in that transitional period of being, very much put into the mass audience that this is okay to do now, it diminishes that out of my head to think, well, actually, this is one of the starting catalysts of the next massive bull run. I'm not saying it's going to happen this year. I still believe it will be 2024, 2025, because it will then link in with when that whole entire new financial infrastructure kicks in. There's an argument to say, they say, buy the rumors, sell the news. It could be that actually we had the big bull cycle, then the financial release, and everyone goes, oh my God, it must go up. But then it drops because everyone's already made the money because they know what's coming. So these are really exciting times as an investor now, as a thought processor, and certainly as a researcher. I think this is huge, but it's kind of intertwining. I'm not one of those people to go, oh, we told you this, I told you so, we told you this was happening. I don't want to be that person, but the fact of the matter is, and I'm hoping that more and more people realize this, they understand it more, or at least go and educate yourselves more about all of this stuff. because it's there in plain sight. We just have to search for it. You won't get taught this at school, universities, or anything like that. You just get taught how to pay tax, how to work. And actually, the real situation we need to be in, where even sustainability-wise, like growing your own things, for example, and stop relying on supermarkets and stuff, is all of this stuff as well. How can we take this as an opportunity? Some of it is scary, guys. We don't know the exact implications of CBDCs and stuff like this yet. But the fact of the matter is, these big things are happening now. And I've said it for years. People were very skeptical, and totally understandable, because I'll admit, 10 years ago, I thought Bitcoin was a scam. I didn't understand it. That's probably why. But as soon as people have understanding, or they start seeing a pattern and start not necessarily getting fed information like this over the last few years, they start to have a realization, and then they come to you saying, oh, how do I get into this? Oh, have I missed it? Blah, blah, blah. And the fact of the matter is, we're still very early, but I implore everyone to not take anyone's word on YouTube or anything like this. I see a lot of nonsense videos. Some people might think ours are nonsense, or perhaps not making sense, or perhaps like out of this world too much that it's never going to happen. But all I say is always be on the fence, be open-minded. One of my favourite quotes from Stephen Hawking was like, look at the stars, not at your feet, be curious. And I think that's something that we massively lack in society and humanity at the moment, and have done for some time. But once you do be curious, you find things. You find Pandora's box sometimes. And this is absolutely fascinating to see. This whole transition happening in front of our eyes. I never thought I would see stuff like this in my lifetime. A real proper transition, and be so aware of it happening. And that's the conclusive thing, guys, because we are early in this space. We are early in our investment portfolios. Yes, we've had a tanking session, a winter market, and we're still in that. The market around the world, the economy is terrible, but these are opportunities, and it's when it's boring, when it's quiet, is the best times to be getting them. And that's very hard to really put into fruition sometimes, because we are cautious of our money and this, that, and the other. But equally, on the other side, if we educate and knowledge ourselves in massive perspective of what's going on, we can really plan this a bit better and start maybe saving better, or enticing ourselves into these kind of new economies in a better way as well. So hopefully this video has been relatively interesting for you. In general, this is absolutely gigantic, and they will always use these kind of things, FTX scandals. It goes back to my point, guys. They will create a problem. Whoever's fault it is, they will create the problem. They already got the solution. Here is the solution. It's right in that part of the plan. And then you have the necessity, the need, and thus they have the control over people when things become a necessity or something you depend on. Dependency equals control. And this is where now my next question mark is in my head of what's the next step for these guys? You can start to see the path, the pattern, but what is the next step? And it's something that we have to work out together and see for ourselves what's occurring, but we can at least plan a couple of paths before that to maybe potentially avoid anything crazy going on. I think it's interesting, fascinating. As I said, do check out the previous videos. There's loads of old ones that I've done. One of the most recent ones was 8 months. I knew the regulation was coming anyway, but the RTGS system was absolutely huge in my mind. Definitely check out something like this one. And even on the homepage, actually, if you are a returning subscriber, we have this big one here, 2025 ready, replacing the £720 billion a day RTGS machine. Bit about ISO as well. It's very important, really, to have a look at this. Not blowing my own trumpet or anything like that. Just if I wasn't watching this with me on it, it's the information that I want to get across, guys. It's there for everyone to hopefully try and understand more and prepare. It's coming. It's all coming. And this huge, huge stepping stone is here now. And arguably, out of most, if not all the countries around the world, I may be wrong here, but this might be the first country that actually has a regulatory standardization for crypto and the use of it as a country. And does that even define the point where I said about the Innovation Hub a couple of years ago? One of their defining points to try and get to was to become the world's #1 go-to destination for financial technology, blockchain, innovation and finance. As the UK has always tended to be a big financial institution around the world, could it be ahead of the game and done it quietly? It remains to be seen how this progresses and what other countries do and how fast they do it. But let's keep an eye on it, guys. This is fascinating. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next big, crazy update video. Take care, and bye-bye.